I want to talk to you about excuses, not to criticize you for having them. Everyone has them. They are a natural part of being human, the mind's way of protecting you from the discomfort of starting something hard. I want to talk about them because they are costing you something. Every excuse is a day without the English session, a week without the practice, a month without the progress that would have been there if the excuse had not arrived. And the thing about excuses is they are never finished. There's always another one waiting. You get past too busy, and here comes too tired. You get past too tired, and here comes not the right method yet. You get past not the right method, and here comes not the right time in my life. The excuses do not run out. They refresh. They find new forms. They adapt to whatever you have already addressed. The only way past excuses is not to solve them. It is to decide that this is the last one, not the last excuse you will ever feel. You will feel more. The discomfort of starting something hard does not go away, but the last excuse you will let stop you. After this one, you start, regardless, imperfectly, without the right conditions, without the motivation, without the perfect moment. You start. Today's story is about a young man named Bassem. Bassem was very good at excuses. He had the most sophisticated excuse system of anyone I know, until the day he ran out of patience with himself and made this the last one. This is his story. Meet Bassem. Bassem was 31 years old. He worked at a civil engineering consultancy, preparing technical reports, supporting senior engineers with project calculations, coordinating site documentation. He was technically strong. His engineering knowledge was solid. He had been meaning to seriously learn English for 4 years. 4 years of meaning to. Let that number sit for a moment. Not 4 years of trying and stopping. 4 years of not quite starting. 4 years of wanting to, genuinely wanting to, and finding reasons every time why this particular week or month or period was not quite right for beginning. His excuse system had been remarkably consistent over 4 years. There had been many varieties, but they all shared one quality. They were always reasonable sounding, always connected to something real, always just plausible enough to justify one more delay. Year one, I need to find the right course first. The wrong method will waste time. When I find the right method, I will start properly. Year two, work is particularly demanding this season. When the project settles, I will have more mental space. I need mental space to learn properly. Year three, I have started, but I need consistency and my schedule is inconsistent right now. When things stabilize, I will build the proper routine. Year four, month 1 through 7, various versions of the above, all reasonable, all costing him a week, a month, a season. Month 8 of year four, his younger sister visited. What his sister said. His sister Nadia was 26 years old. She had learned English seriously 3 years ago while working full time, while managing her own busy and imperfect schedule without waiting for the perfect conditions. Her English was genuinely excellent now. She had dinner with Bassem. He told her, as he had told her many times before, that he was planning to start seriously, that he had been researching the best approach, that he was waiting for the right moment. Nadia put down her fork. She said, Bassem, I want to say something honest. Is that okay? He said yes. She said, you have been telling me this for 4 years, not 4 months, 4 years. And every time I see you, there is a new version of the same reason why this is not quite the right moment. She looked at him directly. I do not think you are waiting for the right moment. I think you are afraid, and the reasons are protecting you from starting something that feels risky. He started to respond. She continued, I am not criticizing you. I understand the fear. Starting something and failing at it, or starting and stopping again, feels worse than not starting. The excuses protect you from that risk. She paused. But Bassem, the excuses are also taking 4 years from you. 4 years of English you could have been building. I started 3 years ago with a busier schedule than you have now, and you have seen what 3 years produced. She picked up her fork. Make this the last excuse, not because the conditions are suddenly right. They are not. They never will be. But because 4 years is enough. Whatever comes next, just start. Lesson 1, the honest list. After dinner, Bassem sat at his desk. He thought about 4 years. He did something he had not done before. He wrote the excuses down, every version he could remember. All of them. Right method, mental space, inconsistent schedule, too tired, wrong season, not ready, need to prepare first, need to research first, need to stabilize first. He looked at the list. He noticed something. Not one of the excuses was about English. They were all about conditions, about finding the right external situation in which to begin. And conditions, he understood looking at the list, would never be perfectly right. There would always be something. Work would always have busy seasons. Schedule would always have inconsistency. Mental space would always be competed for by other demands. He was waiting for a moment that was not coming. He closed the notebook. He opened the laptop. He found a free English course he had bookmarked 11 months ago and never opened. He clicked on Lesson 1. He did 20 minutes. He did not feel motivated. He did not feel inspired. He felt, if he was honest, slightly resentful that he had wasted 4 years. But he did the 20 minutes. He wrote in the notebook, the last excuse. Tonight, Lesson 1. The conditions are not right. They never will be. I start anyway. This is the last excuse. Daily English sentences. Repeat after me. I write the excuses down. I see them clearly. I choose the last one. Not one excuse was about English. All of them were about conditions. Conditions will never be perfectly right. I start in imperfect conditions. I do not feel motivated. I do 20 minutes anyway. That is the difference. The last excuse, tonight. Lesson 1. Done. 4 years of waiting ends on a Wednesday. Nothing special about the Wednesday. I start anyway. Those two words are the whole decision. Lesson 2. What happens after the last excuse? The morning after the last excuse, Bassem woke up. He had not set an alarm for studying. The first session had been an evening impulse, not a planned habit. He lay in bed and thought about it. He knew this, let last night be an isolated incident. He had done this before. A single session that did not become anything, an opening that closed without leading anywhere. Or he could do another 20 minutes this morning. He got up, he made coffee, he did lesson 2, not 25 minutes, 15. He was running slightly late and gave himself permission for 15. But 15. Real. Done. He wrote, morning after the last excuse, lesson 2, 15 minutes. Not a isolated incident. A second morning. A beginning. The week that followed, 5 sessions out of 7 mornings. 2 missed, 1 genuinely impossible, 1 he simply did not do and accepted without self-punishment. 5 out of 7. He thought about the excuse of inconsistent schedule, about waiting for a time when consistency would be natural and easy. He had 5 out of 7 in a completely normal week, a week with the usual demands and interruptions and competing priorities. Consistency had not required perfect conditions. It had required deciding to start. He wrote, Week 1, 5 sessions. The inconsistent schedule excuse is answered. 5 out of 7 is consistency enough. The excuse was protecting me from exactly this, which was always available. Daily English sentences. Repeat after me. The morning after the last excuse, I do it again. That is how it becomes real. 5 out of 7 is consistency enough. The excuse lied about the schedule, not an isolated incident. A second morning, a beginning. I accept the 2 missed days without self-punishment. I continue. The conditions I was waiting for were here all along. Inside the imperfect week, start. The consistency comes from starting, not from waiting for it. Week 1 done. The beginning is real. It did not require perfect conditions. Lesson 3, the excuse that came back month 2. An excuse came back, not the same variety, a new one. He had been studying for 6 weeks, consistently, 4 or 5 mornings per week. Progress was real, but slow. And the new excuse arrived with a familiar sound. I'm not sure this method is right for me. Maybe I should try a different approach. maybe a tutor, maybe a different course, maybe more immersion. He recognized it immediately. The same excuse system, new clothes. He wrote it down in his notebook. He looked at it. He thought about what the excuse was actually saying. The progress is slow, and that is uncomfortable. Changing the method would feel like doing something, like taking action, like addressing the slowness. But changing the method after 6 weeks, when the slowness was completely normal for 6 weeks in, would not speed up the progress. It would reset the accumulation. It would start the 6 weeks again from the beginning with a new method that would also have slow progress in the first weeks. He wrote below the excuse, "This is the method switching trap." The excuse says change the method. The truth says stay the course. 6 weeks is too early to evaluate. Slow progress at 6 weeks is normal progress at 6 weeks. Continue. He closed the notebook. He opened lesson 31. He did 20 minutes. The excuse had come back. He had recognized it. He had answered it with the truth. He had continued. He wrote, Month 2, excuse came back in new form. I recognized it. I answered it. I continued. That is the skill. Not eliminating excuses, recognizing and answering them. Daily English sentences. Repeat after me. The excuse came back in new clothes. I recognize it. I answer it. Method switching at 6 weeks resets the accumulation. I stay the course. Slow progress at 6 weeks is normal progress at 6 weeks. The skill is not eliminating excuses. It is recognizing and answering them. I write the excuse down. I look at it clearly. I continue anyway. The truth answers the excuse. I use the truth every time. Month 2. Excuse answered. Lesson 31. Still going. Lesson 4. 1 year. What the last excuse built. 1 year after the evening Bassem had opened Lesson 1, he sat at his desk at the engineering consultancy. He had just finished drafting a technical report in English. Not translating, not using a tool to assist. Drafting, from his knowledge in English at a professional standard. His senior engineer had reviewed it, had made 2 small corrections, had said, "This is good work, clean and clear." Clean and clear. He thought about 4 years of excuses, about the list he had written after dinner with Nadia, about all the reasonable sounding reasons why the conditions had never quite been right, and about one Wednesday evening, no special conditions, no motivation, no perfect moment, when he had done lesson 1 anyway. 1 year from that Wednesday, clean and clear English technical reports. A senior engineer who reviewed with 2 corrections rather than a full rewrite. A professional capability that had not existed before the last excuse. He opened his notebook to the last excuse page. He read, "The conditions are not right. They never will be. I start anyway. This is the last excuse." Below that, he wrote, Year 1. The conditions were never right. I started anyway. The English that was built in the imperfect conditions is real and clean and mine. The last excuse was the most important decision I made. Daily English sentences. Repeat after me. Year 1, clean and clear technical reports in English. Done. The conditions were never right. The English was built anyway. 2 small corrections, not a full rewrite. That is 1 year of building. The last excuse was the most important decision I made. I started in imperfect conditions. The English does not know they were imperfect. One Wednesday evening. Lesson 1. Everything followed from that. The excuse system lost. The English won. That is the whole story. Final words. Make this the last one. Bassem's story is simple. 4 years of excellent excuses, all reasonable, all connected to something real, all costing him English he could have been building. 1 dinner with his sister, 1 honest conversation, 1 last excuse, made official, written down, accepted as the final one. And then lesson 1. On a Wednesday, with no special conditions, no motivation, no perfect moment. 1 year later, clean and clear English technical reports. A professional capability built entirely in the imperfect conditions the excuses had been waiting to escape from. Maybe you have your own excuse. Maybe it is the schedule, the method, the timing, the mental space, the right conditions that have not quite arrived. I want to say something simple. Make this the last one. Not because the conditions are now right. They are not. They will not be. But because you have already spent enough time waiting for conditions that were never going to arrive perfectly. Start today in the imperfect conditions with whatever time you have, with whatever method is available, with whatever energy is left at the end of the day. Start. Because the English built in imperfect conditions is just as real as the English that would have been built in the perfect conditions that were never coming. It is just yours, actually built, actually real. Make this the last excuse and start. See you in the next one. Stay calm, stay honest, and make this your last excuse.